and into the next life with Drew and
Join
me
me.
and Joe Messina and Bradford Davis.
Yeah.
What's up?
Welcome to the Drew and Me podcast, where we talk about music, movies, and whatever else we want to talk about. And today we are joined by Boston, Massachusetts musician and comedian Joe Messina.
Hey, hey. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. And we're also joined by Philadelphia comedian Bradford Davis.
Yep. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. So today we're going to talk about our favorite drummers and guitarists. So we each made a list of our three favorites. So we're just each going to share like who we think our favorite drummers and guitarists are. And if we name and if we have someone that's on each other's list, we'll just talk about them like one time and then after that we'll move on.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see. So Brad, please name a drummer from your list.
Awesome. Well, I know we're kind of blurring the line between like greatest and our favorites and everything. Start out with a very talented drummer, and that is Carter Beauford. He is the drummer for Dave Matthews Band. Uh, Hear me out. Not the most complicated style of music out there. Also, not my favorite band. Somehow I've seen them like 15 times at this point. I've probably paid for four of those shows, so it's worked out that way. But Carter is like a classically jazz trained musician. He's exceptionally ambidextrous, so he just goes up and down and all over the place, and you'd never tell where he's starting and stopping. And at one point, I did try and learn a couple of the songs faithfully because I played drums for a while there. And yeah, really hard. Uh, so that's my first pick.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
You want me to go down the list or?
I can kind of stand that pick for a second. Let's see. So, is there a Dave Matthews song that you'd recommend that has really good drums in it?
Oh man. You know what? It's a lesser known one. I don't know if it's even on an album. But they did an amazing recording of it at Hershey Park, and it's a song called Shotgun. And it's one of those songs where like when you first hear him playing, there's nothing crazy going on, so you think. And then I got to see him play that song live, and his hands, like he's just filling space, just there's not a just hitting all these crazy ghost notes and these different accents. Like if you just sit there and isolate the drums, you're like, yeah, there's 16 people playing right now. That's cool. I like the way they're all playing in time. That's sweet. They really did a good job. And then you look up, you're like, nope, just that dude going nuts. So I would definitely throw it to that. Mm.
Yeah. That's cool.
All the ghost notes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if like the drums are too prominent on like Tripping Billies or like Crash Into Me or something like that.
He gets into it, but I think the classic jazz training shows with the way that he doesn't typically overplay. He tends to hang in the pocket pretty nice. Seeing them live, I've seen him go pretty ham a couple of times. Yeah, I'll go to a Dave Matthews show. Everyone else is singing along and be like, "We love you, Dave," and I'm just creepily staring at Carter, like trying to analyze what he's doing. Like, I really do wonder if one of those times he looked up and saw me and was like, "Golly, what? Look at
This
someone
dude
else."
again.
Yeah, what is? I swear, every time we come to Pennsylvania, this creep somehow gets in.
Sweet. Yeah, I never listened to a whole lot of Dave Matthews, but never had a problem with them the way a lot of people do. I'm just
I think it
like,
was
yeah,
trendy
that's
to
fine.
bash on them for a while.
Yeah.
Like they were Nickelback before Nickelback was Nickelback.
Yes.
Where it's like, you know what? We got to pick a show where people are having fun and tell them they suck. Let's. You ever been to
Yes.
a Dave show? Those guys are all drunk or high or something or other. Let's start there.
Eh. Yeah. Cool.
Hell yeah. You want me to just go down the list, Drew?
Um, we could probably take turns.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah. Let's do that.
could probably do a drummer. So Joe, if you could choose a drummer from your list.
Yeah, sure. So one that you and I shared, Drew, is Travis Barker. Um,
Yeah.
who, I mean, speaking of like filling all the space, that dude is like insane. I mean, it's just absolutely absurd. And I don't think I even really picked up on it as a kid listening to Blink-182. And I remember at some point, like in college, which was like for me, like late 2000s, early 2010s, and this was like a little past Blink-182's heyday, and I saw some like YouTube video of Travis like just rocking out to some recording, and I was like, oh, he's like for real, like this is no joke. And you know, I'm sure like uh Mark and Tom would bash their own playing way more than I would. Like they're fine. They're not bad players. But the whole thing with Blink 182 was like very simple parts that play very well together and create an atmosphere. Like um, they created a very good kind of sound bed for their lyrics and their performance. But I think the like Travis elevated their music so much. I think I think their very first album was before they replaced their old drummer. The Buddha album, I think it was. And you can tell the difference. And I think they probably would not have gone as far without Travis Barker tying that kind of you know, the equation they were making together.
Yeah, I remember the first time I was kind of introduced to them. I was like, "Oh, the guy plays loud, like sick." Like, "Oh man, wish I could do that." And then I ended up actually having to learn a couple of Blink-182 songs for a band I was in college.
Oh
I
God.
remember trying to learn "Feeling This," and and I was like, "Well, hang on, like this guy's he's doing some things here." And so I was looking up videos and watching how he played it. I was like, "Oh, all right, I got this." I came across like a practice video of him, and it's Mark and Tom standing in the background, and Travis is just sticks in a pad.
Oh my
And
God.
because I played in like marching band and shit, I was a big nerd like that. I'm watching Travis like hammer out all these rudiments, and he's got a metronome going, and I was like, "Oh man, this guy plays like this is great."
Yeah.
And Joe, just like you said, Mark and Tom are standing behind him, and they're like, "Don't you wish we were as good at our instruments as he
Yeah.
is?"
Yeah. Yeah. I think I remember hearing that at one point. Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. There's like, I think when we're talking about like different eras here between some of these, musicians on our lists, and like my someone else from my list, we'll get to it in a second. Someone else from my list was John Bonham, and that era was very like, you know, I think it's a lot easier to, in the modern era, listen to Led Zeppelin and kind of forget about the drums, just be like, yeah, sounds like drums. Whereas like Travis Barker stands out. He's a very flashy player. And I think that was like, uh, that's a big part of pop punk, I think.
Yeah,
Again, it's like, the guitar and bass are like, and there's plenty of impressive guitar and bass in pop punk, but like, it's just on the simpler side because of, that's just the style. And but these like monstrous drum parts that they have really elevate everything. And then you go, yeah, yeah, yeah. Then you go back like, 40, 50 years ago, everything was just really guitar heavy. It was like, look at me playing flashy on my guitar. And I love that stuff too, but it's just interesting the juxtaposition there. It's the guitar era versus the drum era.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, for like Travis Barker, like I'd recommend the Blink album, Take Off Your Pants and Jacket.
Oh
Like
yeah.
to hear the drums on that album, magnificent. Like just really kind of like pronounced and decently complicated. And like from each song, you can like just hear it like providing a beautiful backdrop and just like flowing through the songs. Absolutely great.
Yeah. Yeah, that was my first Blink-182 album actually. Um and yeah, the first song on that album, Anthem Part 2, is like uh I mean it's exactly what I was talking about. Like I think there's like three guitar parts at least in that song, and it's all just like really simple kind of like two-string uh riffs and stuff. But yeah, together the whole piece is just like masterful.
Yeah, how lucky
So
was Mark and Tom?
I
Like
know, I
their
know,
first drummer
right?
dropped out and they just found Travis Barker and they're like,
Yeah,
yeah, we're gonna keep him. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's nuts. Yeah, it's like the Beatles kind of like going through all these formations before like stumbling upon just the you know four-way match made in heaven. So
Yeah, so was the original drummer for the Beatles was Pete Best?
yeah, I think Pete Best. Was he the? I think he was like the main drummer before that. Stuart Sutcliffe is another name. I think he might have been like a bassist or something though. Um, yeah, it was Pete Best before they had Ringo, and people make fun of Ringo, but like that's someone again. Like his parts are not super complex, but he's a very solid uh drummer. I don't know. You
Yeah,
listen to
he played the right parts for the songs. So
Yeah, yeah. I mean, knew what he was doing. I don't know. Like I've listened to some other music of that era, like even some old Rolling Stones and stuff. Like I'm like, you know, that there's a little bit of dragging going. It's like that. Not everyone's like a friggin' master. So
that's funny.
no. So we want to jump to the next.
Yeah, sure. So, um, just like Joe said, yeah, I also had Travis Barker on my list and just like phenomenal drummer. Drums are very flashy and stuff like that. It's absolutely great. But for a drummer kind of out of yesteryear, I picked Ginger Baker from Cream.
Yep.
Um, I feel like very good technically, and like Cream songs are like so good. So like just kind of getting into that and talking to my dad about it. He actually said that kids in his class wanted to play drums like Ginger Baker, and they would
Hmm.
like pretend to play drums in homeroom,
Uh,
kind of like Ginger Baker.
uh, that's funny. Yeah, Cream was like kind of a big deal. Like it's I don't know. It's easy to forget among like some of their contemporaries, but like they were hot shit. I was
Yeah,
yeah.
it's funny. It's funny
Sorry,
to
go
me
ahead.
too how many like when you look at some of these older bands from, like the 60s and the 70s, so many of those guys got their start like playing jazz just because that's what everyone played. And it turns
Yeah,
out that is a little bit of the secret sauce. If you get good at jazz on just about any instrument, as soon
yeah,
as you transition to another style, like you've got the tools to do what you got to do. Like these days, you see people that just they find a song on YouTube they like and wood shop it until their hands bleed. And it's like, all right, yeah, that's cool too. Like, but going back and playing some old standards and being real light on the skins, like that is that's tough, man. And it's not surprising that that birthed a lot of really talented drummers.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I took a few keyboard classes with Berkeley Online a few years ago. And I've always been like a, just banging out chords kind of piano player. Um, and yeah, I mean that elevated my playing a lot. I never became like a great keyboardist, but yeah, I mean I got way better at playing like the Beatles and stuff by learning some jazz piano.
Yep.
Um, yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah,
Should we?
so yep, we could probably jump to the next drummer on your list, Bradford.
All right. This one is a little bit of a trolley pick. Just kind of poking the bears, going to see who's going to call me out on this. I threw in Dave Grohl, and hear me out. It's not completely unfounded. Dave's a very talented drummer, and was an integral part of Nirvana being Nirvana. So hats off for that. But the other thing is, I don't know if you guys saw. I think it was when the Foo Fighters played Wembley and they sold it out. They had the two remaining members, well, two of the remaining members of Led Zeppelin come up on stage and play a couple of Zeppelin songs. And
Oh shit.
Dave, for one of them, hopped back behind the drums and just crushed.
Really?
I think it was Rock and Roll.
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah.
just absolutely crushed the John Bonham part. And I mean, like, the guy plays like it wasn't like, oh, he must have dusted this off from an old cover gig or something, or it didn't sound like he learned it yesterday. Like, he's sitting there just going ham and like staring at who's the bassist?
I don't know the
Led
names.
Zeppelin's bassist.
John Paul
John
Jones.
Paul Jones.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah, he's like staring at John Paul Jones like, yeah, buddy, bringing you back, let's roll.
Damn.
And so I mean, I feel like, keep it contemporary, keep it light. He deserves a nod of the hat, and I think it's also important to know how many other different bands he's played in. Like, he did the drums for Audio Slave for a little bit, and originally with the Foo Fighters, I don't know how long this went on. He was writing like all the parts, and a lot of the studio stuff he recorded on drums.
Oh
So
yeah.
talented dude, best in the world, but want to toss that out there for a little conjecture and whatnot.
Yeah. Yeah, he played on the Tenacious D albums too. That
Yeah, that was another one.
Yep. And he played the devil in the Tenacious D movie, The Pick of
Yeah,
Destiny.
I love that so much. It's like, dang,
Yeah.
that guy's really into it. It's like, that's Dave
Yeah,
Grohl.
yeah. Yeah. It's interesting though, because again, like Dave Grohl is someone who I saw an interview, I think it was like Pharrell interviewing him, the guy with the wide brim hats. Um the happy guy. Um
Yep.
uh so I don't even know what this was from, but Pharrell's interviewing him and he said something like and you're like, you're a great drummer or something. He was like, "Man, you got to stop calling me a great drummer. Like I am a total hack. I am just copying people who came before me or whatever." And he said something about like the drums in Smells Like Teen Spirit. He literally just lifted from like I think the Gap Band, like
Yep.
some old funk song.
Yep. It's an old funk song.
Yeah. And they played them side by side. I was like, oh yeah, he really did do that.
Oh, he met that drummer at a party one time and was like, "Hey man, I just want to say it's a huge honor to meet you. And like, I've been ripping off your stuff for years." And the guy looked at him and went, "I know." It's like, ugh. You
Uh,
can kind of get away with that on drums.
yeah.
Guitar and vocals, that you might get called out a little bit more, but
Oh yeah.
yeah, there's a lot of sharing in the drumming community.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's like what's that band? Greta Van Fleet, the guy who sounds
Oh
exactly
God.
like Robert Plant. And it's
Yep.
Oh
like
yeah, he does.
and it's like, all right, man, like you're an impressive singer, but I'm just listening to like a Zeppelin tribute band. Um,
Pretty much.
wow. Um, yeah. What was it? Oh, yeah. The other interesting thing about Dave Grohl is I've seen him talk about his approach to guitar, and he was like, I don't know notes, I don't know chords, I don't know anything. And he said he approaches the guitar the same way he approaches the drums. And he thinks of like the lower strings as like the bass and toms, and then the higher strings as like a snare or some, sometimes cymbals, depending on what you're playing. And I was like, yeah, that's incredible. I thought about like uh what's that song? Everlong. And
Hmm.
it's like, yeah, that's absolutely like a drummer's guitar song.
I'm gonna be honest. I saw him talking about that too, and like as someone who played drums for a long time and at one point like tried to pick up the guitar,
Yeah.
I think I'm not gonna knock his process. I think there's a little bullshit there. Like, just we gotta call it's just a little, man, because it's like
Yeah.
he plays a lot of chords too. Like, how do you play
Yes.
a chord on a drum set, bud? Like, like I think
Yeah.
that's a little artist being like, well, I used my experience and other
Right.
talents. And I mean,
Yeah.
I love Dave Grohl. I think every interview I've seen, he seems like a cool dude. Minus,
Yeah, yeah.
one little misstep.
Yeah,
Um,
that's for a rock star, it's not the worst we've seen.
right? Like people were trying to freak out, and I was like, "Yeah, you want to talk about some questionable
Yeah.
ethics from rock stars? Like, brother, there's a
Ted
list."
Nugent and
Oh my God, yeah, you could just start there. I mean, how many rock stars had underage girlfriends? If
yeah,
and like and those were the ones that we heard about and were publicized. Like,
right.
but yeah, I
It's
don't know.
awful.
Him saying like, "Oh, I just took the drums and put it on guitar."
Right.
I can't tell you how long I was sitting with a guitar in my lap, and I was like, "I think this guy's full of shit."
Yes, that's fair. I think um they will definitely exaggerate stuff like that for kind of their mythos. Because I've
Yeah.
seen like Paul McCartney say that like, oh, I don't even read music. And it's like I feel like you probably picked up some stuff along the way. Like, I don't know, in your like 65-year career, like maybe, you know, um,
He
and
knows a
because
chord
again,
progression or two.
right, right. You don't write like the long and winding road without knowing a little bit of how like this chord leads to this one, and I'm putting this bass note under this one instead. Like yeah, okay. You have some concept of the notes, my man. But
Oh yeah.
yeah, but I'm still impressed by these guys who are, not necessarily like formally trained.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
because I got
Not to
everything.
besmirch their character by any means or
Oh
their
yeah.
abilities. I mean, the fact that we're talking about them means they're massively talented and made huge impacts on the music scene. Can't take that away for a second. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think every once in a while they're like, how do I say this in a way that reflects that I'm so much more than just this instrument I play? And it's like, okay, man, like I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
We all want to be special.
Well, because they're also talking to like a wide audience, many of whom might not be musicians. And it's like,
Right.
yeah, I mean, for someone to get something out of that interview, that probably helps a lot if they're like, oh, interesting. Yeah, I never even thought about like the low strings and the high strings or like the low drums and the high drums or whatever. And so, yeah, that's, you know, it's not all for us rock heads, music heads.
Yeah. That's why I threw him on there, man. I knew
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
gonna be fun.
Oh yeah. Good shit.
Um, yeah, like if I'm not sure if you guys read the Dave Grohl book Storyteller, but it's great. Has some great advice and like some really like cool stories. And it has some like cool stories about kind of being part of Nirvana and like things like that. It's
Hmm.
actually pretty cool.
Nice.
Yeah, I have one book of his where it kind of like talks about the origin of the Foo Fighters and all that. And it's as much like a picture book as it is like a serious read, but yeah, it's entertaining. It's a good coffee table book.
Oh yeah. I love like rock biographies. There, there's a podcast called uh oh my God, I can't remember what it's called. It's hosted by actually the producer Chris from Chapo Trap House and his partner, I think, Molly O'Brien. Um
Okay.
and fuck, I can't remember what it's called, but it's
It'll come
uh
to you halfway through the podcast.
yeah, yeah. When yeah, I'll wake up at 3 a.m. tonight thinking of it. But they would do, I think they've kind of changed the format now, but like they used to do just like every episode was about a rock musician's biography. And it was great. Like just, they just go through like the Slash autobiography and like talk about all the crazy shit Slash did. Like it's awesome.
Young, musician, band, drugs, breakup, book time.
Yep.
Lather a repeat.
There was I read Steven Tyler's a few years ago, and
Mm.
I I fucking love this book. It's called Does the Noise in My Head Bother You? You know, that very famous lyric reference that, that like like you didn't want to put like Dream On in the title or something. Like, okay. But it's so crazy. Like he just that guy's a nut. Like my
Oh
wife, I
yeah.
was telling my wife about it, and she was like, it was probably written by a ghostwriter. I was like, I think he wrote it because it's insane, and it's just it's like capitalize all these letters and like he just all the like crazy tangents he goes on and stuff. Like it's just how he writes. So
Yeah,
you
those
would,
guys got some stories.
yeah. Should we go on to the
Yeah,
next?
sure.
Do it.
So Joe, what would be another drummer for you?
Um, Yeah, so John Bonham, who we touched on a little bit, but that was the next one on my list. And yeah, again, it's like the this is from the guitar era of rock, but John Bonham was very creative, very innovative. Um, he there was like I'm sure a lot of this was probably like recording techniques too, but like there was just like heaviness to the way he played. Like it was, the moving through sludge, like like walking through a swamp or something. Um, uh, yeah, thinking about like No Quarter or like when the levee breaks, just like, oh yeah, he's dragging me through the mud. It's it's like yeah, it's like gloom metal or something before before it's time. Um, yeah, I mean, again, it's like that's um, I think you rarely hear as much about like the guys in Led Zeppelin. Like, the Beatles, it was like everyone had their posters on the wall and everyone knows like all these details about the life of Paul McCartney and this and that. And it's like, well, Led Zeppelin, just the same were like um four like very talented, very different but very like visionary guys who came together and made magic. Um, and yeah, I mean, I don't know as much about John Bonham, frankly, but like, yeah, it's just the way he plays, some of the like flipping the beat and doing this crazy syncopated stuff in like Black Dog. Like it's yeah, I mean, I got into Led Zeppelin when I was in middle school, and like I had a friend who was like, dude, fuck all that pop punk shit. Listen to this. And I think everyone had that one like stoner friend. And that, it just like blew my mind when I was, 13 or whatever.
Yeah, when I was a little kid, I went to